You ready?
Yeah.
All right.
Hi.
Hey.
Welcome to the Low Ceiling.
Welcome to the Low Ceiling. I'm John.
And I'm Pri. And
What show is it?
It's the Low Ceiling.
You said that already.
Yeah.
I did too.
Oh, we did it.
Welcome to the show. It's the one that we host together as man and wife.
Mm-hmm. We're doing it. The lowest of ceilings.
Man and wife.
Man and wife. I'm glad you brought that up because that's a great opener for our chat today.
Tell me.
I've been thinking a lot about the Manic Pixie Dream Girl.
Yeah?
Okay.
Why?
Just, not only have I been thinking about it, I've been looking it up. I've been reading about it. Everybody in the world is sick of the trope. Sure. Even the guy who came up with the term is sick of it. He's like, please, God, stop using it. Nathan Rabin.
Yeah. I know that. You know why I know that name off the top of my head? Because of the movie we're covering today.
We'll get to it.
Oh, yeah.
Famously, a Manic Pixie Dream Girl, how would you describe her?
A woman who is a character who only exists to enrich the life of the male protagonist of a story. They also happen to be fun, kind, and pretty hot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
innocent.
And quirky.
Quirky.
Say, like strange, different, not like the other girls.
I would say most
unquote.
of the classical Manic Pixie Dream Girls as depicted are often like quirky and goofy.
Right.
But I think you can have Manic Pixie Dream Girls who are, something else.
Or something else.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like famously, Zooey Deschanel is always just the fucking pixiest of all time.
Something to say about that.
Whether it's in like 500 Days of Summer or even in New Girl, the show.
Yeah.
Who just like has more depth as a character on the TV show.
She is often brought up as an example of a Manic Pixie Dream Girl in real life.
Right.
Like just her whole vibe.
Her whole vibe.
Is that.
Yeah. And then there's more famously, more manic maybe, is Clem from Eternal Sunshine. Clementine.
You think so?
I think she's very...
Okay.
Well, she's quite literally the dream in Manic Pixie Dream Girl, right? She's like...
Definitely. Yeah.
And I don't want to keep saying Manic Pixie Dream Girl. I'm just going to say MP. So this MP character is seen in Ramona Flowers and Scott Pilgrim too.
Babe, have you ever considered how MP sounds a lot like MT?
Ooh, just like the character.
I just got chills. Did you
who's
just
got
get chills?
No dip.
Yeah.
And I was like looking at it and I'm reading about it, and this type of character is not something net new in these indie films. Like we've had this character as True. Audrey Hepburn back in the day. Okay, even Katharine Hepburn.
Are we talking about like the Breakfast at Tiffany's kind of vibe?
That kind of vibe, and among other films, I know Katharine Hepburn. It's like this goes back to 1938, like Bringing Up Baby. Very much that kind of quirky, different girl. And then I think even the Clara Bow character possibly inspired Margot Robbie in Babylon.
Her life did,
her whole
not
life.
A character she played, though.
She's the OG Zooey Deschanel. She's got a polka dot dress and everything.
Bowie Deschanel, yeah.
But then there's this like cool paper I read ages ago about this. It's called, it's a mouthful, Anarcho-Feminist Melodrama and the Manic Pixie Dream Girl.
A day doesn't go by that I don't cite that paper in conversation.
You don't think about that Argentinian paper.
I'm always thinking about it, yes.
But it's so cool because this writer, I think her name is Claire Solomon, she points out all these like plays from back in like early 20s where there's always this, not always, but like sometimes there's this character, this female character who's on stage who's dressed differently, and in the 20s it can be a bit jarring because she's got pants on, or she's got like, I don't know, like loose like bogle cut hairstyle.
Just to be clear, when you say the 20s, you mean like Shakespeare's time.
Yeah, you know,
Shakespeare was
back
alive.
in the day when 20s were like
really long time ago,
chill time.
when Shakespeare was alive.
And then he's at the play and he's like, "How do you do, my dear fellow?" And she's like, "No, don't worry about it. I have a small instrument that I'm holding, or I have like a weird haircut, or
like
I only
a ukulele?
Exist." Yeah.
Oh, Zoe, we're coming for you.
I'm telling you, like. But like even in the paper that she's talking about, like that character on stage, this girl always has like a weird quirk with her hair or her outfit, and
That's the pixie part of it.
That's the pixie part of it,
Yeah.
and she only exists to teach the male character a lesson, but they never show any part of her life in the play. No one gives a shit about her history.
She's a muse.
Or her future.
She's a muse. Like the Greek
right.
muses were all women too.
She's a little come and go character, and I thought that was so cool.
That's really interesting.
That's just like late 1800s.
So I've never read the original thing by Nathan Rabin about it, although it's been translated in so many different ways that it's like, I understand this trope. It is possibly one of the most modern tropes around, but I would say that it died a lot sooner than people think.
No, because I think it transitioned into a Manic Pixie Dream boy.
A little bit. I would love to hear your arguments on that, but okay. I want to say a couple things.
Yes.
I'm not in defense of the trope, but in defense of the idea of it, because, and I read this. Have you ever seen the film Ruby Sparks?
Yeah.
Yes.
Shocking.
Good.
Horror.
A good movie, though.
Great movie.
You liked it, right?
Yeah.
Written by Paul Dano and my girl Zoe Kazan.
That's right.
In Ruby Sparks, if no one has ever seen it, it's worth watching. It's a fun romantic comedy, really weird. Paul Dano plays a writer who literally writes a woman into existence.
Yeah.
His erstwhile wife, Zoe Kazan, plays Ruby Sparks, a fictional woman who becomes real when he writes about her.
Yeah.
Which is, you would argue, a deconstruction of the idea of the Manic Pixie Dream Girl.
Totally, and so cleverly done.
And when Zoe Kazan was promoting that, which she wrote with her erstwhile husband, Paul Dano, she said that, and I didn't know this is very interesting. She basically said, and I'm paraphrasing, but she was like, I sometimes also think that trope is just used as a sexist bludgeon for people to be like, I don't like this woman.
Yeah.
And I completely agree.
That's why it's harmful. They gotta kill this trope.
People will call a character like Zooey Deschanel in 500 Days of Summer or Zooey Deschanel in real life be like, oh, she's such a Manic Pixie Dream Girl. But you're just saying you don't like a woman doing a comedic role.
Right.
And I think that while it was accurate at the time they were writing this in relation to the film we're doing today and another big film that's insane that it morphed into this thing that was actually kind of misogynistic.
Yeah.
And it was also, in my opinion, when you hear a lot of those criticisms, like they're not very well thought out. They're just a way for people who need a shortcut to criticize a female in a film, being like, oh, just a Manic Pixie Dream Girl. And then when you look further, I think I've said this before, but like 500 Days of a Summer, if someone says she's a Manic Pixie Dream Girl, they are not.
Well, they didn't get the point of the film.
They're not watching close enough.
Yeah.
They're really, because part of the point of the film is that she's only through the lens
totally.
of
the male guy.
The new Zach Braff. What was his name?
Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
The better looking Zach Braff who grew up to be like a Joseph Gordon-Levitt. She is only seen through the lens of his experience, right? Yeah. And so while she's kind of appears that she could be, she's not. And the other thing too, she does not save his life.
No, and they address it too.
She kind of ruins it.
Yeah.
And then through ruination, he realizes he shouldn't be such a twat.
Well, he ruins it himself because he's so in a dreamland of his own world.
Now, this is my defense of the fact that 500 Days of Summer, I think, is just a great movie. I love it. But today, we're talking about the MPGGGG.
Yeah.
One of the two in the film Garden State.
Garden State.
Starring Z Braff.
Jesus Christ.
And I have to say right off the bat, this is Zach Braff's Antichrist. If Zach Braff had made Antichrist, this is what it would be. And I want to get something out of the way just right away, and then I want to talk about something else. We have a plan here.
Okay. Oh.
I am not going to deny that when I first saw this film as a teenager, I was like, this is so moving and incredible.
Totally.
I'm not going to pretend that I did not love this movie.
Valid.
And
totally
so
valid.
many people did because it has insane acclaim.
Yeah.
But 8 months later, everyone was like, what the fuck was wrong with us?
But then this is the point, right? This is like back when you're, 12, 13, 14, 15, watching this film for the first time. This is the only time that you've consumed a movie like this.
Yeah.
After this is when even the term Manic Pixie came up, like a year later.
And can we touch on that for a second?
Yeah.
Because it was coined due to the film Elizabethtown.
That's right.
Have you seen
Kirsten
Elizabethtown?
Dunst. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you seen
Classic. I have. It's been
that
a
is
while.
one of the most insane films I've ever seen.
Okay.
Do you remember how he plans to commit suicide?
God, no.
Because it's the only memorable part of the film.
No.
Okay, so if anyone's never seen Elizabethtown, it's a terrible film, but it's insane and absurd. It's a Cameron Crowe movie. Cameron Crowe coming off like, this is a dude who made Jerry Maguire and Almost Famous, and you're just like, damn, you know. And some will also say that what's her name in Almost Famous? Kate Hudson. So some would say that she in Almost Famous is a bit of a Manic Pixie Dream Girl. Then again, she is playing a groupie, so it's kind of like, well, that was point. the role of those people in that time.
Yeah.
So Kirsten Dunst is like the Manic Pixie Dream Girl in Elizabethtown, but more importantly, it's a film about Orlando Bloom, who works for a company that's definitely Nike, and he makes a shoe that somehow fails in the market and costs the company almost $1 billion. And so in his very logical Orlando Bloom mind, he says, I'm going to go commit suicide. But he's not just going to do it any way that, you know, he's an account executive.
Of course.
He's an ad executive. So he's going to go home. He's going to tape 2 kitchen knives to a exercise bike that swirl as he pedals, and then he's going to rock his face into them, I believe, and commit suicide that way, which is almost a fail-safe way that will get it over right quick. But I do remember there's a part where, so he's interrupted from his suicide attempt because he has to go home to see, I believe, the death of his mother, much like the film we're talking about today. And he breaks the fourth wall in that film and talks to camera. And I believe there's a part where he literally like looks at the screen very cheerily and he's like, once I get this funeral over with, I'm going to go home and get on that bike. And it's like, this is like, you're just going to cut your face real bad.
Yeah, bro.
know? It's one of the most absurd ideas in a film ever.
Well, I don't know why I immediately thought of Beau is Afraid.
But Beau is Afraid would kind of be like, I mean, this is insane, right? Yeah. Elizabethtown is like kind of funny, right? Hey. It's kind of horrifying, actually.
Oh, God.
It's kind of like something. It's like a cut scene from Seven.
I have no memory. Jesus Christ.
It's the only great part of that movie. Okay. There's a joke in Garden State that I love, not really the way that I think Zach Braff loves it, but the only part of the film that makes me laugh is when he encounters that guy in the hardware store. He's like, I heard you killed yourself.
Didn't I know you in high school?
It's like, it's so good to see you. I heard you killed yourself.
Beautiful. I feel like that's the only line that Zach Braff didn't write. Like someone else wrote it. And he's like, I'm gonna take it.
This movie is like, it's not good, but it's fine when it's trying to be funny. It's just, its problem is sincerity. That's the real problem.
Oh, gosh.
And just to let the listeners know, I'm in a lot of pain because I think I broke my rib and I can't laugh very hard. So don't make me laugh. All right. This is going to be a serious pod about a very serious film.
Yeah.
So
Manic Pixie, serious girl.
I'm trying to, don't do it.
I'm
it
sorry.
hurts.
You're right. Yes.
I'm trying to just breathe normally.
And so like the number one MP girl is Natalie Portman. Who's called Sam. I think there's another movie where the character is called Sam and they're also a pixie girl. Is it Hermione in Wallflower?
Perks of Being... Well, she's not, though. She's has an actual life.
Right.
The thing about that is that, like, as I think we just talk about that movie in some other...
Yeah, a
like,
minute ago.
The part of the pitch of Perks of Being a Wallflower is actually that, like, the main character is so repressed in his life.
Yeah.
But the other two, the Ezra Miller, who there's no problems at all with Ezra Miller as a person.
Totally normal guy.
Anyway,
yeah,
he kind of a Manic Pixie Dream Girl in life. You know?
Jesus Christ, I have something to say about the boy version of it, but go on.
But yeah, so Ezra and Emma in that film, they have these things, but they also are able to like access this other kid, Logan Lerman's like inner life a little more, and they are like the catalyst to his growth, basically.
Yeah.
So I think that movie is like, well, not a movie I'm like think is great. I think it's fine. Is like, you know, that they have fleshed out characters. That's the point of the film almost. Yeah. So talk to me about the boy version of this.
So they've let it go for women, kind of, right? Because the audiences have caught on and they're like, this is tiresome. It's a more
mature and modern time. Like,
absolutely.
There's so much, even in like kind of, sorry to totally hijack this. I just want to say one thing.
Yeah.
When I was like first became more aware of this, it was kind of in like the 2010-ish era.
Yeah.
When there was just so many people journalists and filmmakers and creators alike all just being like, can we all talk about how insane this trope is and how it's just like, because there is still a contingent of people who were like, it kind of goes along with like maybe like people not being very good at writing for women or writing characters that are substantial for women in film.
Yeah.
And it's also moved on to like the same thing about race. Like it's people are being called on the fact that it's like people of color didn't have substantial roles and like and women didn't have substantial roles and it was so it was like a positive development in the film industry when people were like, this is insane and we need to stop, and we need to also call people on being like, this doesn't work. But tell me about the boy version, because we've moved along.
Well, just before we get to that, the trope didn't come out of thin air, right? It's not a total figment of imagination.
No, Woody Allen created it.
Sure, but like even in our lives, like young girls, like when I was younger, Jesus Christ, like not to say pick me, but holy shit, I was just strange, or I thought I was strange, but I was fairly normal. I'd be like, what? Maybe a guy will like me, even though I'm weird and quirky and stupid and silly goose. Just so embarrassing. But when you're 12,
I think I think the pick me girl of today, that idea is actually kind of a remix on this.
Yeah.
Because I also think the idea of being like, I mean, I think like pick me guys and girls exist in the world. I do. I think it's a shorthand to describe a person that really does exist. I also think it's a way for people to talk shit on people they just don't like.
Yeah.
You know, like I do.
Well, it's because the pick me has become a slur.
We're huge. No, it is. We're huge fans of Love is Blind. And that term gets tossed around all the time.
Oh my God, 100%.
But it's just because it's like the people on Love is Blind with their, how do I say, they're kind of like limited capacity to describe things that are happening in life using their brains. That's just a shorthand for this woman is a bitch or something like that.
Sure.
Or this woman stole my man or whatever, you know.
Right.
But and in that way, I think it has misogynistic undertones as well. And I think it'll go the way of the fucking MPDGG whatever.
Yeah.
But because pick me is so much more often used in real life, it's not used in films. So it's not so much associated with a film trope.
Totally. And with the boy version, I guess it was now that the sad boy is kind of a soy boy, but also acceptable. I'll give you an example.
What are you, Alex Jones? What are you talking about?
You know what I mean? Like, okay, this is a crazy take maybe, but is the Spider-Man character a fucking pick-me boy?
Holland?
Yeah. Andrew Garfield. Even both of them, or even
Tobey Maguire kind of is.
I don't know. Toby is kind of just a nerd, quiet, introverted, but Andrew Garfield is more more quirky, more like, oh my God, he's a genius, but he's also humble, but he's a Superman, but he's also very shy.
Maguire, like the thing with Maguire is like, what is his motivation for not telling Mary Jane he's in love with her, kind of? And that's the thing. Like, I'm not saying I'm not even saying he's like a poorly written character. I think as a man, I think there's lots of young men who are just kind of like, well, I don't know if I'm like nice and sweet and just kind of like if I listen to the right music and fucking have the right poster on my wall, the lady will just stumble into my room for some reason. And she's all soaking wet from the rain and be like, I want to kiss you.
Yeah.
You know, and like that's the thing.
Can I come in?
It's a lesson you learn in the classic film The Girl Next Door.
I was just gonna say.
if the juice is worth the squeeze, you got to go for it.
Hey.
Also starring Paul Dano. With Tobey Maguire, like I understand his motivation might be that it's like, I'm Spider-Man, I don't want to get her involved and stuff. But I'm also like, that's not a good enough motivation if you're in love with the woman.
I think if he feels so desperately that some woman being with him would mean her death, then maybe that is enough of a motivation. For Tobey Maguire, is like, my uncle died and maybe a bad guy had to do something with it.
Yeah.
And so I can't let people know that I'm Spider-Man. But with the other two, what's going on? People already know you're Spider-Man. Yeah. Well, at least in the newer films. And they're just like, yeah, I'm a geek, but also I'm a sweetie, but also I'm a jock, but also what's going on, man?
One of the biggest successes of the absolutely poor Tom Holland films that I hate is that like you could never really make a film for kids who like comic book movies and have the titular character be like a jock, be like Jacob Elordi
of
the
course.
jock.
Exactly.
And it's not, it's just because like kids who like those movies are just such fucking losers. No, I'm just kidding.
You know,
like,
but like their fans are. Their fans are so pick me. Jacob Elordi has some of the most insufferable fans in the world.
The thing is though, is like with Tom Holland, his characterization as Spider-Man, it's just so much more relatable, even though it's like kind of funny because it's like, I mean, he's the jockiest jock of all. He's the most athletic person in a 15-kilometer radius. Outside of LeBron James, he's the most athletic person in the fucking, who's a human in America, who's not Thor or whatever.
Yeah.
I've definitely seen those movies. But like,
it's showing.
You can't really make, I don't know, when they're teenage boys are the focal point of a film or the main character.
Yeah.
It's very rare that they're like the football jock guy.
Yeah.
It's and that's
even if they are, they're all sensitive.
And that's the thing, is like, even if they are, you deep down inside they're a soft piece of white bread that you want to just toast over an open fire and eat for breakfast draped in honey. Like, it's
like the Fault in Our Stars lead. I think I guess that's YA, but like a lot of YA leans into having the softest male characters.
I struggle with Ansel Elgort in The Fault in Our Stars, just mostly because of his performance, but also like I haven't seen that movie enough, but I have read the book, and I kind of am like, is he like a Manic Pixie Dream Girl character?
100%.
Because his characteristics, if I remember, and again, I haven't seen the movie in a long time, and I don't dislike it. I don't dislike the movie or the book. I think it was fine. There's some really great moments in it, but like he just kind of stumbles in and he's like, hey, this is how you can face your impending death.
Yeah.
And then boom, I got cancer. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, I think the movie maybe hides it a little bit because you're like, well, clearly she's going to die.
Yeah.
But then the twist, sorry to ruin this for everyone, it's a 10-year-old film.
Yeah, get it
But
together.
then like the twist is, which I found genuinely surprising when I saw it the first time.
Yeah.
The twist is like, he's like, I found out I'm going to die. And,
right.
But like, I don't really recall a lot else. And there's not a lot else about him. And he kind of drops his entire life to do stuff with.
Yeah, there's no, who cares about his motivations?
Sick breathing girl. You know?
Exactly.
So I wonder if that's like a male version. I wonder if it's also a bit to do with like, this kind of appeals to younger women, who are the main audience of that film, in my opinion.
Oh, 100%.
I don't know. I
There's
wonder.
so many millennials affected by that shit. Now I feel like the original Manic Pixie Dream Boy is fucking Johnny Depp. Softest guy in anything he does.
Though?
In everything, even in all the pirate films, in Sleepy Hollow, in
Sleepy Hollow. No way.
What, you don't think he's the softest guy?
Okay, no, hold on. You, by definition, you cannot be the Manic Pixie Dream something if you're the main character. You just can't.
Okay, yes. Okay, yeah, that's fair. Yeah. That's fair.
Because
else we are kind of glued
unless the movie
character.
is fucking terrible,
right?
You know,
right.
it's.
And I'm a huge fan of Sleepy Hollow. That movie fucking rules.
Yeah, and I think the Pirates of the Caribbean series is the greatest of all time, and it's done nothing wrong. And
but like, you know, everyone kind of exists in relation to how he perceives the rest of the crowd.
Do you think? Are you? Let's use positive language here. Are you calling in womankind and being like, you know, y'all are also guilty of creating Manic Pixie Dream Boys?
I feel like, well, most men write this
I'm
character.
totally joking.
But but that's a fair point, right? Like, if we are saying, oh God, these male writers are writing these terrible women, and please make them stop, as they should, those same male writers are now writing these terrible men who are like, I'm just a hard nut to crack, but I'm very soft on the outside.
I think it can be a symptom of just like poor writing overall.
Yeah.
I also think that like if someone went and wrote a piece in like Salon being like the Manic Pixie Dream Boy thing has to stop, the response would overwhelmingly be like, well, men were writing shitty women forever, so
now exist.
Now we care about them without and I'm not saying that's positive. Like, I think that would be like an interesting conversation to have.
I think humanity's favorite MP Dream Boy is probably Edward Cullen from Twilight.
But no one is good in those films.
No
one is a good character.
The main character is Bella, right?
Yeah, exactly. And Edward's probably the best example of it.
Of that.
But you know what? I think the funny thing... Okay, here's the thing about the Manic Pixie Dream Girl. Someday we'll talk about Garden State. I really promise you guys. I think in like we can get to it in like 6 or 7 hours easily. I think the thing about the Manic Pixie Dream Girl is that like because so many, frankly, like white 30-something dudes were writing about it. They were doing it from a place of power and privilege in the industry of the thriving industry of novels and short stories, but also film and things like that. And then also there's lots of men in positions of power in cinema, and therefore they're being like, yeah, this is my dream girl too. That's why I love this script.
Incredible.
And I'm
also, she always looks like Charlize Theron. She's like hitting those white beauty standards. She's like super skinny white. It's gonna be great, guys. Just make sure she got glasses on. If she takes them off, she's hot again.
Because of that, they're coming from a position of power, so it's a lot easier to deconstruct that. In relation to Stephenie Meyer's work, it's like that came out and everyone was like, yeah, we get it.
We immediately accept this as gospel.
Same with E.L. James. Same with 50 Shades of Grey, right? Yeah. Is like, I think E.L. and Meyer, they do a poor job of trying to expand upon them. But Edward Cullen, upon first mention, is just, upon the first film, is just kind of like, I mean, this guy's as hot as shit into Kristen Stewart's character. He's like, he's like a dreamboat who plays baseball and he runs real fast and climbs trees. Yeah. Which is what every woman wants in a man. I'm not saying that's wrong.
You're telling me you don't want to be someone's spider monkey? Yeah. Get out of here.
But I think it's interesting because it was so immediate to criticize these women for doing it because that's so much I don't mean this. It's so much easier, right? Yeah. But when you're in a structure of power that is all men, it's a lot harder for, say, like the one woman in the room on this film to be like, this woman is terrible, and people just being like, yeah, okay, whatever, okay. Boo. You get a producer credit, just be quiet. Like,
of course.
I'm being very flippant, but I think that's like, it's a lot harder for that voice to be heard.
Absolutely.
On a movie like Garden State. Yeah. So
Zach Braff looked up Manic Pixie Dream Girl, probably just stopped at Manic and just went into the DSM-5 and was like, this is the character Natalie Portman's gonna play.
It didn't exist though.
She's just, yeah, true, right. So he's like, I'm gonna get a crazy girl who's hot.
No, I honestly, okay, I want to give the benefit of the doubt to Zach Braff because I don't think he's a bad person or anything. He made a bad movie. It's true. He's done other stuff that's like silly. Scrubs for one, but like this trope didn't exist as defined by Nathan Rabin, right? And it wasn't until this movie back to back with Elizabethtown that it was like Nathan Rabin was like, this is like it, and they were just such perfect examples in the same genre, in the same type of filmmaker. Almost a very similar story. Garden State lacks the absurd suicide machine, but I mean, that's probably a cutscene,
True.
But like, I don't send him any ill will being like, he's like, I just want a lady to just pop into my life and fix me. Yeah. And he has said, I've read stuff where he's been like, man, I was young and depressed and like, it's
totally,
I acknowledge that. I acknowledge that it was not the greatest version of a woman I could write, and I was like, well, yeah, exactly. But he was fucking like, he was in his 20s or some shit.
Yeah, this movie's 20 years old now.
He also like wrote the draft for it when he was like very young, I believe, like before Scrubs.
Oh my god. Yeah. There's like parts of him talking about how his step parents are psychologists, and like a lot of it draws from his real life, and he thinks and feels this way.
But you know what's even crazier? What I said earlier about it being like a symptom of bad writing. Ian Holm is also a terrible character.
Yes. All shit.
He's his father, who is the catalyst for his protagonation, the protagonist, and he has absolutely no character development. It's almost absurd. By the end, when they have their like big showdown conversation, you're just like, I don't know anything about him.
No, because Zach
the movie's
Braff
about avoiding him.
Made Zach Braff the hero. That is the problem with it. If he had made himself a loser as well, by the end of the film, this would have something redeeming. Meanwhile, he's the guy who's like, oh my God, this girl like totally changed my life. Anyway, enough about her. My dad sucks. Yo, fuck that guy. My mom's dead. And I'm cool.
I'm going to come and forgive him.
Yeah.
I come in and I forgive my dad.
Right.
Even though like Natalie Portman has helped me protagonate, and now I'm going to go and do a service to my father.
Yeah.
I want to point out the goofiest shit though.
Yes.
Okay. I swear to God, I've seen this in another movie and I just couldn't figure out which one it was. But so he goes to the doctor, right?
Yeah.
And the doctor is like, like depression, anxiety, it can cause all sorts of problems. Like he was like, I found out my wife was cheating on me. I couldn't get my dick hard for like 3 years. And Zach Braff is like, no, that's not my problem. And it very much feels like it's like categorically, it's like, no, me as a person character, I have no problems getting my dick hard. I just want to be clear. As a virile young man, that's not my problem. And I just wish one day that a man would write a fucking movie where he's the cipher for the person. And he's like, dude, I can't get it up. You're right.
Yeah, exactly. But like, no, everything he does is, I guess, his motive. Okay, so when we get into the plot, we'll find out that Zach Braff's character was 10 years old and has been on lithium ever since.
Yeah.
Because of his dad.
Wild.
/ psychiatrist was like, you seem to be an angry kid and you push your mom around and now we're sending you off to boarding school. And so it makes sense for him to come back towards the end of the film and be like, Dad, I was just a kid when I, turned our mom into a paraplegic. That didn't mean you have to send me off to boarding school.
The weird thing I found about this movie, having watched it many times when I was young, because I own the DVD, and also watching it recently and being like, oh boy. Boy. But one of the things I noticed when we were watching it the other night, when you had your head in your hands being like, oh my God.
Because this is my first time.
The first time really viewing it front to back. But I was like, at the end when he confronts his father, I was like, well, he's kind of already made his protagonistic decision.
Yeah.
Because he is in LA and he goes off of
for 10 years
the lithium.
Yeah.
No, but before he's come back to New Jersey, the titular Garden State, he's like, I'm going to go off the drugs.
Right.
And then by the end of it, he just kind of is like, oh, I can feel things again and life is worth living. But it's also like, yeah, but you kind of already chose that before you came out here.
Totally.
And so the confrontation with his father just feels kind of empty, not to mention the fact that you just don't know anything about his dad.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, why are you yelling at Bilbo Baggins, dude? What is your beef?
What did he ever do to you besides, ship you off to boarding school?
Christ.
Loser.
And has maybe like 10 minutes of total screen time in which we're supposed to just understand everything about this guy. We don't know anything about him.
He doesn't even have 10 minutes, man. He's in 3 scenes.
The whole time, I thought Zach Braff was being an asshole.
The thing that bothers me a lot about the film is that writing like a cold and disaffected, unemotional person always feels like kind of a cop-out. Because I'm just like, so they just don't feel stuff that's not interesting, especially in a film. Because you're like, dude, they have to fucking act. They have to do a thing. In a novel, they have an inner life, right? Mm-hmm. And you can access that. But when you're like watching it in a movie, you're just like, well, feelings and passions drive everybody. So what is this even like, and I have to say, I think Zach Braff does a good enough job in the actual performance of it. Yeah. But it always feels like it's like the writer doesn't have access to the true feelings or doesn't want to. Yeah. And therefore they're just kind of like, yeah, I'm just like so like cold and numb. And it's like, that's just boring.
Why?
It just is lame. Yeah.
The only person who acted her ass off was Natalie Portman.
Yeah, man.
She nailed it. Whatever was written for her.
It's really not her fault. Like,
it's not. And she did a killer job of whatever was given to her. So good job.
The other thing too is like, so enough about that with the problems of the movie. This movie was like a hit. This movie was made for $2.5 million, and I believe at box office like $35 million.
Shit.
And it was in theaters for like a year, like because it got bought at Sundance, I think, where I believe it won the big prize. It got bought at Sundance. It was made for 2.5, bought for $5 million, distributed, made $35 million. They kept just like rolling it and opening more screens and stuff. Weird thing is like I found Zach Braff's blog from like, you can find it. It's linked to in his Wikipedia.
Oh my gosh.
From like 2004, where he talks about like working on Scrubs and shit. But it's very bloggish and it's not worth reading or anything. But he does say he's like Garden State just keeps opening. It's like they just opened it to be on like 600 screens, which is insane for a tiny movie and stuff. And I was like, it was like such a big hit, but then so precipitously just immediately dropped off. Like immediately it was just like, boom, like, nah, yeah.
Yeah.
Because everyone kind of like, once you're past the abyss gazing of it, you're just kind of like, what were we all on?
Or was it that like 15 movies of the similar type cropped up within 2 years?
I mean, name one.
I mean, we're still talking.
Elizabethtown, I guess. They're kind of concurrent.
Well, I just mean anything with the Pixie Dream Girl trope, whether it's TV or movies like Eternal Sunshine or...
I think so many romantic comedies are really hard to do well. And this is kind of that, but also like they go through long periods of stagnation and then they like... One will come out where it's like critically acclaimed and people will be like, our romantic comedy's back. And it's like, no, they're just going to go through another period of stagnation.
Yeah.
In this era, in my opinion, 500 Days of Summer was that movie where people are like, are they back? And it's like, no, they clearly are not back. But before that, like they were all kind of the same, I think. And yeah, people got a little tired of them. I assume. Yeah. Oh yeah. Let's talk about the plot then. I want to talk about New Jersey a bit as well, but let's just get to it.
Yeah.
When we get to it. So Andrew Largeman, played by Zach Braff, writer, director, producer, actor. He's a quintuple threat. Everyone's always said Zach Braff.
Zach Braff, quintuple
the Daniel
threat.
Day-Lewis of network TV. You know what? Daniel Day is really just a single threat, and it's his life.
He's real pick me, if you ask me.
Yeah, too.
Daniel DDL, a real pick me bitch.
I always thought one of the like tipping points of the Manic Pixie trope was Bill the Butcher. He was always like just
Ooh, look at me with my knife. No one has a bigger knife than me. I'm most different.
Leo, I'm here to help you.
Thanks.
By
I've been
stabbing your
it.
dad.
Yeah.
That's my Bill the Butcher.
Classic.
Is it good? Yeah.
It's fucking good. Right. Yeah.
I love that movie. It's way better than Garden State. I know it's not one of the big Scorsese movies, but like, can we all admit, can we all finally step out of our holes and be like, you know what? Gangs of New York is better than Garden State. Same struggles. People have been arguing about this for years.
Is this a New York, New Jersey debate now?
I want to settle this. So Andrew Largeman, he's a struggling actor in Los Angeles. He works for a weirdly racist restaurant. And it opens up with him on a plane doing the cold, being like, oh man, I don't even care that this plane's about to crash. Weird start. He wakes up in bed. His dad has called him and he's like, you got to come home. Your mom died. She drowned in the tub. She's paraplegic. She drowned in the tub. He goes to his weird racist Vietnamese restaurant and he's like, and immediately
he's got like makeup under his eyes.
It's the strangest thing. Immediately goes to the Garden State, New Jersey, which
baby.
All of you Americans out there, you would know that that's what the Garden State was. But okay, so New Jersey, probably one of the most like insecure states in the world.
Why? Why'd you say that?
Well, because they're right next to New York. You know?
I see. That's why.
And so much suburban angst has come out of New Jersey over the years. But the weird thing is like this movie, one of the things I think I connected to it when I was younger, and I still kind of see a little bit, certainly in the scene where he meets his friend who's like a cop and he's just like, you're a cop? Like, I've had those experiences before where I'm like, I've seen someone I haven't seen in years and I'm like, you're a network administrator? I can't believe it.
You were sitting right behind me in 5th grade and now look at you, man.
Exactly, right? I've had those experiences, but the difference is that the town I grew up in it's smaller than your town. Just, I'm going to put that to rest. It is smaller than the town you grew up in.
It's a little dot.
No matter how small you think yours is,
Cute.
Mine was smaller. And when he goes back to New Jersey, he's just kind of like, oh, fucking New Jersey. New Jersey is the most densely populated state in America.
Maybe it's like a small
it's not.
button that he lives in within New Jersey.
Yeah, I know, but it's also kind of like the small town, quote unquote, of America is always like, well, I mean, there's people everywhere.
Yeah, there's still at least like 500,000 people out here.
I get like people stick around in fucking like Pleasanton, New Jersey or whatever the fuck it is. But it is also like, it's such a... I don't know. I'm one of the few people who like come from a position where I'm like, that doesn't seem that small to me. It seems like kind of like a city. It seems like a city. Yeah. But you know, that's New Jersey.
You know what? New Jersey would never be like, I'm not like other cities. New Jersey would be like, yeah, I'm there. Yeah. I'm like other cities. Okay. Newark,
New Jersey, like most like other cities you've been to. Yeah. That's their tagline.
Exactly.
Also, the Sopranos.
Hey.
Yeah. I say that we're huge in New Jersey, so for everyone listening there, I'm sorry, I've never been there and I don't plan on going. But you know what?
Oh shit.
I mean, maybe if the New Jersey Devils were a little better at hockey, I would have an excuse, but I don't.
Talk to us later.
Yeah. Also, they're in East Rutherford.
Ew.
Everyone hates East Rutherford.
Just harsh judgment.
One of the reasons that Leo DiCaprio is fighting to stay in New York in Gangs of New York is because otherwise he would have to live in East Rutherford.
Not even West Rutherford?
It's a deleted scene from from Gangs of New York. It's not called Gangs of fucking
East
East Rutherford.
Rutherford.
Yeah. Gangs of Princeton. Yeah. Heads back to New Jersey. Mom died. Goes to a funeral. Where
strangest funeral.
I mean, no. I mean, there's a very Jewish lady singing a song, and then Peter Sarsgaard. Peter Sarsgaard?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's burying him. One of the many weirdest cast members to be in this film.
That's what I'm saying.
Peter Sarsgaard is there. He's the burial guy. He also steals jewelry, which is comes up later. And he goes to the wake. The woman makes a shirt for him.
Even the conversations by the funeral graveyard place, though, where his mom's just right behind him going into the ground. And he's kind of off into the distance talking to these two guys about nothing really partying. He's like, yeah,
they're going to go to a party.
They're like, where are you going to go? Probably right after we bury your mom. Okay, yeah, I'll see you there.
That's like the part of the cold disaffectiveness of his character, right? He has, and like, there's like a funeral scene. And I have to say, I absolutely despise funeral scenes in every movie I think I've ever seen. I've never seen a good funeral scene. But in this one, at least it's like, he doesn't even talk to his dad.
Yeah.
He doesn't even have a scene with his dad until he goes into the office and he's like, this like sets up the like non-stakes of the film where he's like, we have to have a talk. And it's like, all right, let's talk later. Cool. And it's like, they can't do it now for some reason.
Sure.
And then he's like, oh, I've been having these headaches. I got to go to the doctor. So he sets up the doctor's office, which is important. But yeah, he goes to this party with all these like people from East Rutherford, New Jersey.
Oh, of course.
And he takes ecstasy. Like, this scene just doesn't really matter.
No.
It just introduces these characters.
Yes, but for a very important reason for later on.
Why?
I think this scene speaks so much to how Zach Braff's character perceives women. So in the scene where all the party's going on, everyone's like, let's take ecstasy and then let's play spin the bottle, and the tops come off and the people are making out and all the girls are just hanging over his dick. And it's like, yeah, but Zach,
but he doesn't want any.
He doesn't want any. He's like, I mean, this is cool and all, but like, all right.
He doesn't want some cheap floozy.
No, because he's from LA and he could have got that there if he wanted to, but he didn't.
Yeah.
He's back in his city.
He wants something real.
He wants something dreamlike.
He wants something with substance. But that, just kind of exists to serve him
ethereal.
And his emotions in a little way.
Wow.
Yeah.
We're about to find out.
Interesting. Yeah, because he does get to make out with that very beautiful woman.
Exactly.
And then she's like licking his ear later, and then he wakes up in the morning with Bazinga and Gene Smart, who is in every fucking
Gene Smart,
fucking Gene Miss HBO Smart, and what's the guy's name from fucking Big Bang Theory?
Sheldon Cooper.
Yeah, no, the actor.
Oh, man. I don't know.
Who cares? The guy from Big Bang Theory.
Yeah.
I had the DVD of this film.
Right.
Watched the commentary with Zach Braff because I was, interested in cinema. Wanted to hear what he had to say. A couple things I learned in this scene. I believe that's how that guy got the job on Big Bang Theory was his one scene in this film, which he's fine in. I have nothing against the guy.
That's awesome.
And in this scene, they sit and they watch the TV and they have these cats on their laps. And this is where I learned that you can hire animal handlers for the set who have cats that are trained to do nothing, to just lie there.
Yeah.
So they don't move at all.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
There's a really cool fact about that animal in the next scene that I'll tell you about when we get there. But yeah.
What? Okay, so in the next scene, he goes to the doctor.
That's right.
The dog humps his leg.
And he waits. And in the waiting area, he meets our Manic Pixie Girl,
the service dog, and has sex with his leg.
That's right. So Natalie Portman is sitting in the corner giggling at this interaction with the service dog.
I find when she laughs, like out of the blue, really jarring every time.
Yeah, because she's manic, my guy. I'm saying she's clinically diagnosed.
But it's just a weird sound to choose.
Yeah.
Like a weird take of that.
She does the most. It's what laugh would you do if you were Natalie Portman?
I can't laugh.
Oh, that's right. Okay, this is not a comedy potty. Well, you're right. But there's a point where before she laughs, there's something in the commentary about when they get the dog to hump Zach Braff's leg. There's like a line they give the dog, a prompt, and it was like, "Who make him your bitch" or something like that.
Perfect.
I thought that was very cute. That was like an endearing part of this movie that no one ever got to see.
Can I say too about Natalie Portman's character. Another thing where it's like the choice to make Zach Braff an unfeeling, disaffected young man. They also have this interest. It's like this ironically interesting choice to have the Manic Pixie Dream Girl be a woman who constantly lies, because you never really know what's real, but that also accentuates the fact that she's such a fantasy, right?
Yeah.
Because I just found it so interesting, and it's, again, like, I don't think Zach Braff is sitting there being like, oh, I just want this lady to like just be nice and sweet, but also available to go down on me whenever I ask for it. You know what I mean?
But he
like,
would never.
I don't think he's doing this on purpose.
Yeah.
It's a symptom of bad writing, being young, being depressed, not being very experienced. I get that. That's totally fine.
Yeah.
And I'm not being like Zach Braff should be like fucking drawn and quartered for this. I don't think that.
Totally.
But it is just like, it's an interesting, ironic little choice to be like, yeah, she's also like not truthful at any time. And so how can you really know?
I think it's because she's a child. They infantilize this character.
The other thing too, her ambiguous age.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Like the whole thing with her lying, and then later when they're sitting closer together and probably the next couple scenes, she's like, I'm not going to make out with you. And she just blurts it out. I'm not going to kiss you. And then she keeps saying that I'm not going to do it. Yeah. And then later you find the motivations of Zach Braff being like, she's like, I'm not innocent. And he's like, shut up. Yes, you are. It's what I like about you.
Yeah.
He wants her
it's
to
also
be...
this like, the part where they're in her bedroom with that scene and stuff, it's very weird and regressive. And the other thing too is like, all right, Zach, I love you, man, but you look 35 in this film. You still do. You're a lovely guy, but you look fucking 35. So Natalie Portman was a child actress.
Totally.
She's very young in this film, I believe.
My gosh.
Like, she must be like 22, 20.
Yeah. And she looks 14.
And she can be made to look much younger.
Absolutely.
And it's like, it's so uncomfortable because you're just like...
It's very Leon the Professional all over again.
Well, yeah, speaking of Natalie. But you are also just kind of like, what... How old is she supposed to be?
I know. There's an interview with her being like, I know I'm a child actor. But my parents were very nurturing and supportive and understanding and all that stuff.
Mr. and Mrs. Portman.
Mr. and Mrs. Portman. But now I do believe that children should not be actors.
Yeah, I think that's the attitude of every child actor who's ever lived.
Jesus
basically.
Christ.
They're like, because for every fucking successful one, there's, a lot that really flamed out. Right? Yeah.
Rough.
But so those are like other just troubling but such poignant aspects of her character. The fact she's dishonest and she's ambiguously young. She's just young, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, they have their meet cute. He listens to the Shins. Good band. I've seen them live. They're very good. Yeah, and then he goes to the doctor. He's like, "Don't worry, doc. I can get my dick hard."
Do something about my head.
Make myself laugh. I've done such a bad joke and then hurt myself. I deserve that. For such a bad joke.
Sorry.
And his doctor is like, "Take a fucking ibuprofen and shut the fuck up." That actor is great. Whoever the fuck he is,
he's amazing.
He's a fantastic actor.
And then is he the Men in Black chief? No,
it's not Will Smith. It's a different actor.
Close.
No, are you thinking of Rip Torn?
No.
He's my Manic Pixie Dream Girl.
Mr. Torn himself.
Mr. Torn, yeah, one of the greats.
Friends know him as Rip. Go on. Who are you thinking?
All right, what happens after this?
Okay, so he goes back outside, and Natalie Portman's waiting for him, and he's like, "Hey, do you want to ride?"
Yeah.
With her, what we later find out is her epilepsy helmet. Yeah. At the time, she's just got a helmet in her pocket, but no bike or nothing.
Also, she said she's there for a friend, but then the doctor is like, "Oh, we'll come get you in a second."
Total lies.
She's lied about that, yeah.
So we later find out she just walks around with a helmet on, even though she doesn't drive or ride a bicycle. It's because
she has to wear it at her law office.
It's a safety thing. She takes her home. She takes him home, and then we find out she has like 50 gerbils or whatever.
Yeah, they're the most negligent pet parents of all time. Fucking, it's no surprise that Ann Dowd gets involved with a cult in fucking The Leftovers.
She's like, I can take over this shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you see her later in Hereditary, and she's like, Peter, join the cult.
I have no more gerbils.
You are my gerbil now.
I cast you out. I love that movie.
So good. And so even more of that childlike shit where she's like, honey, your pet fish died again. Go bury it in the backyard. And there's like 50 little holes in the backyard of all the pets they've buried.
Her mom is also like very infantilizing to her as well.
And then they show us a tape of her of Natalie Portman's character wearing
That's later though.
Oh, right.
So he gives her a ride home and stuff, and then so and after that, like he also takes her to meet that guy too. That's like a scene that's pointless. So his friend who invented silent Velcro.
Such a cute little point.
It is a great line. And the thing I learned this from the director's commentary. The scene where Sarsgaard is peeling apart Velcro and it's silent. Zach Braff was like, no one had actually invented silent Velcro, so we just had to remove the sound. And I was like, I wonder if I don't know if that's been invented yet, but whoever did, get on it.
So smart.
Yeah.
That's just Post-its then, no? I don't know.
It's just tape. Yeah, idiot. Zach, you moron.
Hello.
But okay, so they go to the actual party with like Skarsgård and a bunch of people in the swimming.
Yeah.
Swim in the pool. They have a nice tender moment. And then the fireside chat where Zach Braff admits that it was him who pushed his mom, and she tripped against the dishwasher, fell and like broke her neck or whatever, and became paraplegic. And they put him on all these drugs, sent him away to boarding school eventually. And he hasn't been back since, which is a little insane because like what happened right after he graduated? I don't know. Like,
just 10 years
went straight to LA.
No information.
It's weird. It's weird to think that like a child who is like so dependent on like boarding school and his father as a doctor didn't end up coming home after he like graduated or in the summer or whatever. Like,
sure. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But
I guess like a mixture of shame and guilt and all of
maybe
that.
they did 3 semesters. Who knows? Those boarding school kids are crazy. They're all mental out there and satanic, I've heard.
Oh, great.
They're worshipping Satan.
It's a Tuesday. What else are you going to do?
And mostly masturbating.
Yeah.
But so he admits that, and then Natalie Portman tap dances for him, which is, oh boy.
So there's all the quirky, all the like I'm gonna make a noise, and then tap dance.
The like building of the quirkiness in which...
It's a hard watch, man.
Yeah.
That's a hard watch.
Again, I think Peter Skarsgård is like the best part of the movie. Like I have to say, even though his character is frightfully underdeveloped as well.
Why does he exist? And why does he care about Zach Braff?
Yeah.
No one really... He has no relationship with any of these people, and they all go above and beyond for Zach Braff to like do stuff for his character.
Yeah, like why are they friends? You never really... Just friends? Because they went to high school. And like you never get a moment... It's hard to gauge how good of friends they are.
Yeah.
No
one knows because he invites him to a party because he helped bury his mom because that's his job as a gravedigger.
But like, were they best friends or were they just like acquaintances?
Never established. No one ever talks about anyone but Zach Braff.
No, exactly. And
so we don't know
all
anything
little,
about
like,
these supporting
short
characters.
It's short on detail that like could easily be there.
Yeah. So that substance is missing from every aspect of this film.
Yeah. Although I have to say, Peter Sarsgaard, when he walks into the bar, he's like, "Hey, vagina!"
Hell yeah.
And then he's like, "I'm sorry, I didn't know you were here." That's just Skarsgård.
Sorry, I yelled vagina.
It's just Sarsgaard. He's so good at delivering those lines, even though his character is of no substance.
Ugh.
Anyway, next day, Zach Braff is going to leave. Also, it takes place over like 3 days. Next day, Zach Braff is going to leave. And Sarsgaard is like, "Hey, what are you doing today? I got to pick up a thing.
Yeah.
I got to find you. I got you a going away gift, which is wild for just a weekend."
Come on.
I mean, if my mom and dad are listening, I don't fucking get a going away gift when I go visit them over the weekend. It's another story. But he's like, I got to track it down first.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's like, well, I was going to hang out with Sam because she's the only thing I care about. And he's like, bring her along because this movie's not getting interesting unless you come with me.
Oh my God.
And this is the only point where I think the movie
goes somewhere.
When Sarsgaard is like, we have to go spend a day tracking down a thing. I was like, this movie is 2 ideas mashed together. And the Sarsgaard crazy after hours style hometown visit is like, there wasn't enough there, but could have been the movie.
Absolutely.
Which I would have preferred.
Absolutely.
Because this is, even though most of it is bad, I think like once Sarsgaard is like, I'm taking over your film, I'm like, good, because it needs something.
Yeah.
And then... So they go to the hardware store. They encounter the guy who's in Super Troopers, who's the snozzberries taste like snozzberries guy, and who delivers my favorite line when he's like, "I thought you killed yourself."
Jesus.
And which it makes me laugh every time. I don't know why. I just think it's so funny. I think it's so funny to be the second thing you say to someone who you haven't seen
right
for
after,
years.
hey man.
And the other thing he follows it up with, also that guy's a good performer.
Yeah.
But the other thing he follows it up with is he's like, that wasn't you. It's like, you're like straight here.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And then
the look in his eyes, like,
it's
hey.
the only moment, because he's like, I thought you killed yourself. That wasn't you. Who killed themselves?
No, it was that other kid from the whatever. And
It's
then
great.
of course there's someone.
So they get some money, and then they go get a nitrous oxide tank for Method Man for some reason.
Mr. Man himself.
Who's doing a totally cool thing in a hotel by watching prostitutes have sex with men in their hotel rooms. Yeah.
And so he's a bellboy Method Man's a bellboy at the hotel, and Zach Braff and Natalie Portman are walking through the hallways being like, what are all these titties that we're looking at?
Yeah.
And Zach Braff's character is just appalled.
Yeah.
Cannot believe, Peter Sarsgaard, you brought me and my girl here.
I also, so as I may have mentioned, I've been rewatching The Wire, and Method Man shows up in The Wire. He's big in a lot of David Simon stuff. Yeah. He's great. Method Man's a very good actor.
Fucking rules.
His appearance in season 2 of The Wire when he becomes a character is phenomenal. It's so good because it's just like wonderful. It takes a moment to realize it's Method Man of the Wu-Tang Clan.
Mm-hmm.
But I really admire that he was like, Method Man was like, I really want to get into acting, and I want to do 2 of the things that speak to me: playing a drug dealer and Garden State. And it's like, what are you doing, man? And then also, Method Man years later shows up in the fucking film Patterson, just rapping in a laundromat.
That's right.
Yeah,
Jesus,
a movie you didn't like.
No, I didn't care for.
I like that movie.
For the sweet softness of nothingness.
That Patterson is a soft ass movie.
Yeah,
it's a real soft movie. It's about poetry and bus driving. So
no,
it's
very sweet.
It's no Gangs of New York.
But Method Man's character, even Method Man was like falling short of being cool.
No, he's terrible.
Because you can tell like he's just memorized these lines, these 3 lines that Zach Braff wrote for him.
Which are nonsensical.
They're trash lines. Who here just saw some titties? Raise your hand.
Like what does that mean?
What does that mean?
I have to say, the only part that he does well is when Natalie Portman's like, well, Julia Roberts married Lyle Lovett, and he gives her this look, and then he's like, why do you bring these fucking people around here? Like, that is good. I like that. But then just the rest of it is just kind of like, and then also I gotta say, like, in what world does Method Man have a relationship with a wizened old antiques dealer in a boat at the bottom of a quarry, who is the most?
We don't even know all that yet.
Who's the most on the nose?
Yeah.
Fucking Gandalf character ever.
Oh my god.
Well, he does know him though, right? Because he points him out to Skarsgård. He's like, go down to the bottom of the fucking.
But like,
quarry.
how would he even know Sarsgaard, who's just like a gravedigger and hangs out?
Because Sarsgaard brings him the nitrous oxide.
Small town.
Why does Method Man want to get high on nitrous oxide and also knows where antique jewelry gets fenced?
I wonder if the nitrous oxide is to create the illusion of the pinhole through which you watch people have sex or something. I don't know. Maybe it's more for ambiance.
Listen, I'm really sick of your analysis of this film.
Garden State, a state of mind.
Yes. The Garden State is more of a state of mind.
Yeah.
New Jersey's other slogan is a state of mind that you've been in before. New Jersey.
Our apologies.
A state of mind.
Yeah. Can't get out of it.
Yeah.
Can't get out of it. And their journey continues.
Yeah, and they go to this quarry, it's a quarry, and they find the guy who has an amazing scene of Michael Clayton, great actor, I forget his name, who apparently is also married to a Manic Pixie Dream Girl.
Yes, of course.
She shows up and she's like, hey, I'm hot. Does anyone want tea? And then she just leaves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they have an infant in their arms.
Yeah. And you know what? I don't even know if it's theirs. They might have found it in the quarry.
So
I'm not precluding that from being a possibility.
Yeah. This strange couple with a strange child in an ark on top of a quarry.
This character, just the on the noseness of like being like, I am a character who's meant to do this for you.
Because he's a Manic Pixie Dream Boy.
He is. Yeah.
Because he's like, Zach Braff's like, what are you doing here, man? Is this your job? You just sit in your boat? And he's like, I believe in doing something unique. that someone else is not doing.
Like he at least has a motivation, but also he is only there to aid Zach Braff's journey, kind of, you know, and without really being like that. One of the big overall kind of like writing problems with the film is that like you don't really believe these people exist outside of this. Like they're just kind of like they just magically plonk down in front of everything, you know, like. Good writing, to me, at least in my opinion, maybe I'm wrong, but I'm no Hemingway. But like in my opinion, like you have to have a sense that like the world exists outside of the events of this movie or this story, right?
Exactly.
And yeah, that's my writing advice to
without
young
having to
writers.
be associated with this character every 5 minutes in some way.
It's not just a figment of this person's imagination. It's got to feel like it's a real planet, a real Earth B going on. So they get this antique piece of jewelry. And then they climb on the tractor and they scream into the abyss. Really tough.
Quite literally.
They
really
take
tough.
Turns. Then Natalie Portman and Zach Braff kiss.
Yeah.
Obviously. They get back and Skarsgård is like, this is your mom's little jewelry bit thing.
Hey, we went on this whole journey together and I desecrated your mom's grave. Anyway, miss you, bro.
For money. Yeah.
What is going on?
Yeah.
What is their relationship?
It's one of the like things about it, like speaking of building relationship is like wouldn't it make more sense for there to be some conflict about that? Like for him to be like, he sees Skarsgård stealing other people's jewelry. He's like, shit, did he steal my mom's? And then when he gets it, he could forgive Skarsgård for stealing it because it's so meaningful to him. Oh. That's my soft pitch for Garden State 2. Ooh. A State of Mind. Yeah. And then
see, already a better fucking scene.
Most people call me the Zach Braff / Denzel Washington of my time.
Canadian Braff.
Canadian Braff. Oh, ow. It hurts. Yeah, and so then him and Natalie Portman presumably fucking have sex, even though you can't really show that because she's
of course
innocent.
That's right.
Possibly 16. And then he has a big talk with his dad.
Where he yells at him and then leaves. Great big talk.
No, he's like, it kind of makes sense, but it does kind of illustrate the fact that it's like, you didn't have a big journey to go on, really.
No. Yeah. And what are you doing coming out here after 10 years giving him the attitude? I would smack the backside of that kid's head so fast.
Bilbo style.
Good God.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he yells at his dad
and then he's like another issue is at the end when he's like, oh, I have to leave. Really, what do you have to leave for? Like,
well, that's also
they don't do a good job of convincing, much like Tobey Maguire in Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. They don't really do a very good job of convincing me that it's important that he leaves. Because of that, the tension feels very like manufactured. And then of course he just comes back and is like, no, I just want to kiss you. And then they make out in the airport. He
gets off the plane and comes back. So it's a very, oh my God, I'm the hero because I saved the day. Look at this girl crying for me.
I have to say, in a retrospective review I read about that, which was very funny, someone brought up, they were like, there's no way he got off the plane in a post 9/11 America.
Nice try.
This was like 2003. Oh. There's no way he was already seated and got off the plane without being like arrested by Homeland Security.
Or charged $5,000.
Yeah, I thought
bothering everybody.
Yeah.
But like he waited 4 days, or he hung out with her for however long he was here for the funeral, had sex with her the night before, and then the next morning he's like, I have to leave you now. Goodbye.
I have to go back to Los Angeles, the capital of fidelity.
Yeah.
The capital of carrying on long distance relationships.
Great job.
Yeah.
Great job.
California.
And
a
Natalie
state
Portman,
of fucking.
She does the best crying she's ever cried. I mean, she's such a good crier.
Yeah.
She lets
actress.
it rip.
Yeah.
And then she's still crying like 20 minutes later. And then we see his stupid ass face and he's like, I'm back. Just kidding. We should be married.
I'm going to stay in New Jersey forever. Yeah.
Yeah, they're divorced now and hate each other.
He's in a mental institution for he's like, look, Sam never really was there.
Yeah.
Was she?
He's still huffing lithium.
Yeah.
Or however else they did
it. Well, great. If we all know from the there's only two good things that have ever come out of New Jersey, Garden State and The Sopranos. And in The Sopranos, Tony sorry to spoil a thing that's 25 years old, but in The Sopranos, he is on lithium, and he has an extended hallucination
Days.
of a very beautiful, kind of a Manic Pixie Dream Italian lady.
That's right.
That's kind of the point.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, in season 1, baby.
Yeah.
The episode Isabella. Brilliant.
Ugh.
And then that's what
Beautifully.
Melfi says. She's like, flush the lithium. No, yeah. That's my Goodfellas. Yeah.
It's a garden state of mind, baby.
Hell yeah. This movie is such a good choice.
Of what not to do
Well,
when you write something.
But
like
also,
this.
like, the legacy of it is so tarnished.
Absolutely.
Because it's changed so much.
Yeah.
And, it's so funny because Zach Braff, I think also something that didn't help was when Zach Braff made a Kickstarter for another movie. And people were like, why don't you use your Scrubs money to pay for your film?
What the?
Yeah, did you not hear about that?
No.
So kind of in the beginning of Kickstarter, very close to like the beginning of Kickstarter, when it all, I'm not even going to say kick-started off, but when I was going to say that without irony too. I didn't realize what I was saying, but kind of like in the beginning of Kickstarter, Zach Braff went on it. And I do think in part it was also like partial publicity for Kickstarter itself.
Right. Okay.
But Zach Braff was like, I want to make a spiritual sequel to Garden State, essentially.
Oh.
And it's like, it's about a struggling actor, but it's about Zach Braff. It's a movie about Zach Braff.
Great.
And it did come out. It's called Wish I Was Here. And it was partially funded by Kickstarter. But it was like, it was a little bit like, you can't get money to make a film.
Millionaire Zach Braff can't get it together.
I'm sure he's made good money from Scrubs, but I also understand people pay for shit. Like, I get that your life can't totally, you're not just be like, oh, I'll use the $2 million I have lying around in my checking account. That just doesn't exist. But also in Hollywood, it's kind of like, there's lots of gatekeepers, but it's like, you're Zach Braff.
Yeah.
And so I think that definitely soured people towards him for a bit, because people were like, I'm not giving you money, and also your other film sucked and I hate it.
Oh my God.
And it's not as good as Gangs of New York.
Ugh.
Yeah. Zach Braff's biggest thing lately was that he was dating Florence Pugh. That was a huge thing. Yeah. Like, I don't know. I don't dislike the guy, and I don't even dislike Scrubs. I've seen bits of it, but I don't know. This movie is just so like, it's just had such a decline. And
all I know that I wanted to see Garden State for 20 years. Somewhere in my mind I was like, oh yeah, that movie. I never got a chance to see it, and I want to see it. And time went by, and now I saw it, and I get it.
I have to say, like, maybe this is,
I get the hype and the downfall.
Yeah, but
I get it all.
Like, you see how lots of people unironically, this also was like, that's also my fantasy.
Yeah, of course.
Of
course, when you're young, like, what else do you know to compare
Of course.
it to? That is why the dream exists in the Manic Pixie Dream Girl.
Yeah.
Is that it's meant to be to a fault.
Yeah. And it's also, it's such a, I think one of the things about that fantasy or a film like Garden State is like, it's an easy life.
Yeah.
It presents to you, it solves so many of your problems, certainly as a young man, where you're just kind of like, no lady wants to touch my D.
Yeah.
But maybe some lady will just appear and do it.
Yeah.
And she'll also be like, have good taste in music.
Oh my gosh.
And be hot and also be weird and
have
like
bangs.
quirky and like and access my inner feelings and stuff.
Yeah,
but then it's such an empty fantasy, because there's no like nothing, things in life that are just given to you are not really, you don't appreciate them and you don't like them. You don't want that.
No.
It's like better to go through all the turmoil of, frankly, the turmoil of people not touching your D.
Yeah. It's hard out here for my boys.
I'm sorry, Pri, but as a woman, you just can't understand.
You don't know about my dick. Just kidding. Wow.
Oh man. No, it is like it. Especially too when you get older and you're like, I've had worse problems than this. Why is there a movie about it? That's like one of the huge. That's another. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not about you, audience. Shut your mouth.
No, not really. But then I do think that a lot of people like find, for a minute, they're like, I connect. This movie resonates with me, and then you grow out of it so quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's wrap this boy up. This has been the Low Ceiling. Thank you. You can't. Thank you for low ceilinging with us. Garden State is state of mind. State of mind you've been to.
Stay tuned.
Pleasanton, New Jersey. Go there. It's a town.
Yeah, don't talk to us.
Thank you for listening.